Something not awesome for Jon Gruden, the former Raiders coach. Quick summary of what happened with Jon Gruden. For those of you who haven't been paying attention for the last 3 years, it was during the 2021 season, several weeks in, someone took a small collection of emails from 650,000 documents that had been harvested as part of Beth Wilkinson investigation into the Commanders and Daniel Snyder. Somebody took a small sliver of those documents and first gave some to the Wall Street Journal. It created a ruckus when it all came to light, some inappropriate emails that Gruden had sent while he was working for ESPN to former Commanders executive Bruce Allen. Then, when that didn't do the job, when he weathered the initial storm and wasn't pushed out of his job as head coach of the Raiders, on Monday, the first dump was Friday, the second dump was Monday to the New York Times. That did it. By Monday night, Jon Gruden had resigned under duress as head coach of the Raiders. So he turned around and sued the league and Commissioner Roger Goodell for weaponizing those emails. And look, as we've been saying for nearly 3 years now, there was a small universe of people who had access to those documents. Somebody selected those documents, gave them to the media. This wasn't a situation, and I know that reporters get upset when I say this because they want everyone to think that their work is some magical exploration of hidden compartments and dumpster diving and searching for shredded documents and piecing them together. Sometimes, a lot of the time, you're just in the right place at the right time at the right organization. Somebody wants something out there. What do? Let's give it to the Wall Street Journal. Let's give it to the New York Times. That gives it an extra layer of credibility. Ooh, these august publications making this report. It must be true. It must be accurate. There must be something done about this. So Gruden's argument was somebody knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted to take him out. So he sued over it. And you have to be able to compartmentalize what he did to deserve to be out of a job versus what someone else did to take advantage of the circumstances to do something that shouldn't have been done. And as I explained back when Gruden found out the Nevada Supreme Court wasn't going to allow him to stay in open court with this case, the timing really did undermine the integrity of the 2021 football season. Someone took out a head coach of one of the 32 NFL franchises during the season after games were played, with games still left to be played, in a year that the Raiders were good enough to get to the playoffs and almost beat the Bengals, who ended up beating the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl that year. The integrity of the season was undermined, and that's something a lot more people should be concerned about than seem to be, in large part because, again, like the topic I'm going to talk about coming up, there aren't many voices in the media landscape calling it like it is. Someone at the league office or someone with one of the teams, and if there was a suspect A, it would be the Commanders, someone undermined the integrity of the 2021 football season. That just has been glossed over in all of this. So what happened was, as the NFL does whenever and wherever it can, when it gets sued, let's get the case to the secret rigged kangaroo court of arbitration. Secret and rigged are the two key terms there because they want to win, but they also don't want us, the media, the fans, the consumers, Congress, anyone to know what's going on behind the curtain. So the initial ruling at the trial court level in the Gruden case was he gets to stay in court. The Nevada Supreme Court, on a 2-1 vote, just a segment of the total members of the court, the 3 that were assigned to handle the case, 2-1 found Gruden's got to go to arbitration. And it's not even something that comes from his contract. There's a clause in the NFL's constitution and bylaws that I don't think should apply to what Jon Gruden was trying to do. It's a clause that gives the commissioner the exclusive ability to arbitrate and resolve any disputes involving conduct detrimental to the game. Well, the conduct detrimental to the game allegedly was conducted by the commissioner. Think of how preposterous that is on the surface. And as I've said before, most major companies want to take cases out of the hands of a jury and put them in arbitration. Instead of 6 people who aren't lawyers, who might just decide, and this came to light possibly last week in the Sunday Ticket case, we don't like what the defendant did. we don't quite know how to get through the maze from this feeling that we don't like what they did to here's liability. So we'll just blast down walls and blow open doors and just draw a straight line from entrance to exit because all we know is we don't like what they did. If you arbitrate the case, it's going to be a lawyer, it's going to be a retired judge, it's going to be somebody who will feel constrained by the barriers in the maze. And if you can't get from point A to point B, sorry, you lose. Even if objectively the thing the defendant did is unsavory. That's why big companies love to go to arbitration. Juries are far more likely to make their decisions based upon the fact that they just don't like the defendant. So the NFL takes it one step farther. Instead of using some third party to arbitrate these cases, third party with no connection to the NFL, no reliance upon the NFL for future arbitration cases. Somebody, two sides agree, we're going to use the American Arbitration Association or this place or that place, something completely independent. Instead of that, the NFL says, oh, no. We're going to decide. The commissioner or his designee will arbitrate the case. It is ludicrous. I still can't believe that they get away with it. It's wrong. They shouldn't want to do it. You shouldn't want to be put in a situation where you have to pass judgment on the owners who hire you and pay you. You shouldn't want to pass judgment on, as I've said before, just imagine if in every marriage, part of the prenup was any disputes will be resolved by me. I mean, life would be a little easier. Well, maybe. You'd win the disputes. I don't know that you'd win the war, but it's overreached by the NFL. But regardless, the Nevada Supreme Court found that, yeah, Gruden has to take the case to arbitration. And the news yesterday was that when Gruden filed a petition for rehearing in front of the entire Nevada Supreme Court, they said no. Which basically means he's shit out of luck at this point, because his only path is to file a petition for writ of certiorari. That's a term that we used last week as it relates to the Sunday Ticket case. Writ of certiorari to the U.S. Supreme Court. First, they'd have to take up the case. 4 justices would have to agree to take up the case, and then at least 5 would have to agree to overturn the ruling and find that the NFL's secret rigged kangaroo court arbitration process is untenable and Gruden isn't bound by it and Gruden should be able to go to court. And I can tell you right now, and I'm going to delve into this more a little bit later, there's no way he's going to win on that. There's no way. And I didn't write this last night when I posted the item about yesterday's developments, but Gruden kind of gets what he deserves here, not because of the emails. See, it is very difficult, I think, to separate his conduct from the conduct that was visited upon him. 2 wrongs don't make a right, though. I heard that somewhere. Gruden, what he did was wrong. The way the NFL went about doing it, or whoever leaked those emails to the Wall Street Journal and then the New York Times, was wrong. There should be a sanction for both. The bottom line is Gruden's effort to pursue justice will happen within the confines of the NFL's in-house secret rigged kangaroo court. Now, he gets what he deserved, not because of the emails he sent, but because, and this is a political observation, not a political opinion, but I've heard enough over the years to know that Jon Gruden is to the right of the political spectrum. Well, as was explained recently, and this is, talk to any lawyer you know who's involved in litigation involving individuals and companies, or really any litigation against companies. If you're either pursuing the company or you're defending the company, if they tell you the truth, they will say, especially in the federal court system, but it's true in the states as well. And this is unique to the federal system, it's where the president appoints the judges at every level for every vacancy. When it's a Republican president, the judges more likely to be appointed will be of a mindset that will be favorable to business. When it's a Democratic president, the judges who are appointed at every level, district court, appeals court, Supreme Court, they will be more likely to have a mindset that is favorable to the interests of individuals. And if you haven't been paying attention to the Supreme Court, it's safe to say 6-3 would be the outcome if the court even took up the case, and I doubt that they will. But if they would take it up, Jon Gruden would find out that the political ideologies that he has subscribed to have caused him to lose 6-3. And this is one of the realities. It's not a political opinion, it's a political fact that individuals who buy into a certain ideology are also signing their own ticket for a one-way exit from the courthouse if and when they're ever trying to get justice from a major company. That's a fact. And that fact is going to result in Jon Gruden not getting what he's looking for at the Supreme Court if he even tries. And I would guess, if we looked at the background, the makeup, the history, the rulings, the political affiliations of the judges of the Nevada Supreme Court, that's probably why his case wasn't taken up for rehearing. And it's probably why he was 2-1 on the losing side. You take away one of the judges and you replace that judge with someone who might be more favorable to the interests of individuals, could have been 2-1 the other way, and the case would still be alive. Or the NFL would have been the one to seek rehearing. The NFL would be the one trying to get to the Supreme Court. And frankly, the NFL might have been able to get to the Supreme Court and win 6-3 on the question of whether or not the case would have to go to arbitration. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.